that white people are albinos, correct me if I'm wrong, Legrand, that we kicked out of Africa and we sent into Europe, and they've been pissed off with us ever since. In a nutshell, I always figured Francis was looking at things from the perspective of a psychiatrist.
Yes.
Right.
You know, which makes a lot of sense from that perspective, I guess.
So, Baba, when I was in Kemet with...
This is Sister Eleanor,
Hi,
Brother Legrand.
Nice to meet you. It was an honor to be able to listen to you. We were in... can't remember the name of the tomb we were visiting, but it was the very original one. Was maybe the first day. Not Abydos, because it wasn't it was the papyrus, the paper. It's on the wall. It's where you crawl inside and you go inside. And is it Teddy, the first?
Oh, the
pyramid text.
Yeah,
the pyramid text. Teddy's tomb. Thank you. So as we were coming in, there were men there that were chiseling away at our features, and they're painting over it with these very European...
couldn't be Teddy because there are no human images in that tomb.
Not inside. As we were going in, there's like a little pirate or something that would have had us on display. And they're chiseling our features away, and they're putting something that looks absolutely European there. Like not even being etched in the way that our hieroglyphics are supposed to look. So it's very, very intentional, which leads me to believe that ultimately they're changing the entire history so that by the time my grandchildren visit Kemet, is there a possibility that it could be a very different place?
I've never seen any evidence of anything like that in all my trips to Egypt.
So I have seen it with my own eyes, and I'll have to, when I find out where it was, I will contact you. They were just local, like, peasants. They were down on the floor, and they had chisels, and they were taking everything on the walls off.
We saw the same thing in 2007. It was odd. I can't tell you exactly where it was, Rashidi, but we literally, in Zinga, all of us saw it.
Okay, so I'm not the only one. Yeah, they were painting over it. It seems so completely sacrilegious to me that would even be allowed. Like, who would even grant that? So do you think that ultimately that is the plan? I mean, for them to be going in and changing things like that.
So you're suggesting
there's
this grand plan on this conspiracy on the part of white people today to replace Black Egypt with European Egypt. Is that what you're saying?
That's what I saw. But did you see it?
I saw. As to what the motivation is.
What did you see exactly?
Well, what we saw was people painting over the paintings.
Right.
Literally, like touching them up. I'll use that term, touching them up.
But the features were changing, right?
They were touching them up.
The features were being changed.
Yeah.
So it was looking like when you buy a Bible and you see the people who are in the Bible, it was being changed to that look.
I don't know. I can't tell you what it was being changed to, but restoration, touching it up, reinforcing.
I took pictures, so I do have it.
Oh yeah, let me talk about that.
Okay.
They literally moved Abu Samel, moved it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was because the original site was being flooded.
I don't mean to like any malice, but they had to move
I don't subscribe to the idea that there's a grand conspiracy to white out ancient Egypt.
You do not?
Like, for example, take care now. It comes up quite frequently what happened to the noses on the statue. And there's a common belief in our community that these mean, nasty white people came from somewhere and knocked the noses off out of racial animus. And the ultimate example of that would be Napoleon
Right.
blowing off the face of Hormaka the Great Sphinx. But that's a myth. Napoleon didn't do that.
Who did?
I think it was done hundreds of years ago by a group of fanatical Muslims, long before Napoleon was born. But we keep repeating that. And I think it says a lot about how we think and how we've come to see the world. Like, for example, there's certain things in our community that we repeat almost instinctively. That Africa is named after a Roman general. That white folks knocked the noses off the statues, including the Sphinx. That Africans sold other Africans into slavery. And if I were to ask you, where did you hear that? I don't know, somebody told me. They said on YouTube, or bottom line is, I just believe. So the question for me is, why do we believe the things we believe when there's no evidence to support it? Now, I could say there's no evidence for Napoleon knocking off the face of Hormaka. But a lot of people in our community will just dismiss that. Runoko doesn't know what he's talking about.
No, I'm
Runoko
very
must
interested.
have a white girlfriend or something like that. I would imagine this is the kind of shit that people be thinking. But we are programmed to see the world in a certain way. And the idea of these noses being knocked off the statue by mean, nasty white invaders fits into that. Because there's no evidence for that. And not only that, but when I really began to question it was when I began to go into museums and see statues from Europe with clearly European features, especially from Rome, with the noses missing. So on the one hand, you can't say these mean, nasty white folks came to Africa and knocked the noses off the African statues out of racial animus, and then see the same thing on a purely European statue. It's inconsistent.
Okay.
But why let facts get in the way of a good story? You know?
Well,
Because
when
I
we
used to say that. But now, as I've evolved, I don't see any evidence for it.
the tour guide that we had was the one who was working with Dr. Ben when he went there. And something that he shared with us at the Horhekamet, is that how you pronounce it? Horhekamet, is that they, and I don't want to use the word believe, but feel that there were two.
I've heard that.
Two that were there, and that one had been completely destroyed, and that they didn't get to finish destroying the second one because everything that we did was in duality.
Well, who destroyed it? The first one?
I don't recall that.
When was it destroyed?
He just said,
How was it destroyed?
I
Where's
don't
the
know.
evidence for it?
I
Where are
don't
the
know.
fragments of it?
I just know that I heard
These
him.
little pieces are important.
Yeah. Do you think that there could be any proof to that?
Yeah, it could be. But then again, we can say anything that could be proof of. We could argue and speculate about anything. Like Legrand. The idea that white folks are mad at us because we invaded Europe and they're trying to get revenge. That's an interesting theory. But I don't know how much weight it holds in
So
real
wouldn't you
evidence.
think that genetics would have more to do with it than that?
What do you mean?
Meaning that when a black man is with any other race, then the people become black. Would that be more of a reason
Reason for what?
to try to annihilate us? Go out of their way to wipe our existence off?
You mean subconsciously?
Yeah,
So
subconsciously.
they don't really think this through. It's almost like instinctive. And they act on that. That's what
Well,
you're saying?
maybe it's what they do every time they come into a place is to change the population by mating with the women, and for Africans to be able to come and do the same.
I don't know. Y'all are too deep for me. I'm just a simple historian. I'm just a simple historian.
I have a question though. What do you think that? Let's see if I can say it right. That Freemasonry's preoccupation, if it's true, with Egypt and as far as the certain rites or certain stages? I don't know.
No, that's not something I know much about.
Right.
You know what? As you get older, at least as I get older,
Right.
I'm quick to relieve myself of the burden. It's easy to say, I don't know.
Right.
When you're young, you know everything. You have an answer for every question. Can't tell you shit. But as you get older, I don't know. And it takes a burden off.
Right.
There's
That's
an African
wisdom.
proverb that goes, only fools know everything. Only fools know everything. And when I meet somebody who knows everything, I run as fast as my old feet can carry me. Because there's something wrong there. But we should be able to discuss it.
Right.
And maybe see if we can arrive at conclusions. And maybe I'm prepared to admit the possibility that I'm very left-brained. Maybe I allow my European side to dominate my thinking rather than looking at things from a holistic approach.
Okay. Well, I want to say thank you so much for today.
Oh,
it
you're
was a
welcome.
phenomenal
So much
day. And look forward to traveling with you eventually.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
So y'all are taking off. How did you get here?